I'm Marcel Cook, the founder of Brown Girl RDH, and I am here with Ty Hendon, and he is from HR Business Consulting, and he's just going to go over everything that any entrepreneur or millennial should be doing, what they should be preparing for post-COVID-19. Hi, Ty. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Tell us a little bit more about your business, your services, and what you offer.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. And I graduated from Michigan State University in the spring of 2014. And not long after graduating, I worked for Amazon for a while in human resources. And I actually got my start in HR at Michigan State as an intern. So I kind of knew what an HR career might look like, but I didn't have it nailed down. So I worked for Amazon and HR for about 4 years. I worked with them as a senior HR assistant and an HR business partner. So eventually I got promoted. I got the chance to work in human resources. I got the chance to work in recruiting and do a lot of different cool things, right? Mm-hmm. And while I had the job, I enjoyed the work I did and it was challenging. But there was a big part of me that was kind of telling myself, you know what, you could do more with your time. Like you could push yourself more. You could just challenge, yourself in more than one way. And so that's ultimately what led me to starting Hendon Consulting. And essentially what I do is I work with small businesses, entrepreneurs, and startups to problem solve, right? So to figure out some of those problems that they may deal with on their own, because oftentimes, as you probably already know, Marcel, when you have your own thing, it's usually just you, right? Like you might have some friends or family that give you input on what you should or shouldn't do, but you're usually making a lot of decisions on your own.
Right.
So I kind of step in as that partner and say, hey, you know what? These are all the things I think you're doing right. These are the things I think you could change. And this is where I can have an impact on your business based off my experience and based off of what I've already accomplished, right? So I use a pretty data-driven and people-driven approach to helping people out. And by that, I mean, I look at hard numbers and say, okay, if someone tells me like, hey, next year I want to make $100,000 in sales and this year they make $2,000 in sales, I'm going to be realistic with them and say like, how are you going to do that? Because I can't see it, but what is going to change, right? So I try to be very honest with people, very forthcoming, but also have a listening ear, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't know everything. So just really using my skill set and my knowledge in HR and in business, using my business acumen to help people just, better position.
So like a lot of my friends that are entrepreneurs, they start off saying like they start their business, right? And they register their business. And now it's like, okay, how do I make money? So they start their website, but they're like, well, I'm not selling anything on my website, or whatever I'm offering on my website isn't selling. And their main goal is like, how do I make money? How do I turn what I'm doing into profit? And I have to have a serious conversation with them and say, some companies are 5 years in and they don't even make money to the 6th year. And that is the realization that people have to realize. You're not gonna hurry up and get it like that. It takes sometimes 7-8 years for you to really start making money to where this is really ignorant to say. I'm not gonna say ignorant, but everybody want to be a CEO. Everyone, I have my own company. I'm a CEO. Well, I'm like, anybody can be a CEO, but that doesn't mean you're making money. Until you're signing checks and you have people on payroll, you shouldn't be calling yourself a CEO. Like, people can do what they want, and I'm probably going to get like a lot of backlash from this, but you're not signing any checks for nobody. So guess what? Why are you calling yourself a CEO? I mean, if it makes you feel better. I never do that. When I started my nonprofit, I always put founder. And until I started, and I don't know if that's like the right or wrong thing to do, or what do you do? I mean, what does CEO stand for? I know now, but it's like, I kept calling myself founder. I would never say CEO. On anything I would put founder. My business card, I would just put founder, because I strongly felt like you have to work towards being a CEO. Like, you have to work towards being that boss. You're just not a boss because you think you're a boss. Like, people got to look at you and be like, yeah, she's the boss. This is what it is. So until I started, paying people and writing those checks, then I was like, okay, all right, now I can say I'm a CEO. So that's not to take away from anything that anybody's doing. And if that's what your title is, that's what it is. But personally, like, we're not going to come in here already killing it. Like, you have to work towards that. So set that as your goal to be like, I'm going to be the CEO, like the CEO of Amazon, and, you know,
Yeah.
whatever else. Like, make that your goal. You can't start off there. You can't start off at the top, right? So I think, like you said, looking at, if someone says they want to make $200,000 in their next year and they made $2,000, what does that look like? Yeah, what does that look like? How can we get there? And then they're like, well, you're not going to get there doing the same thing. So what type of coaching, what type of outline, what type of blueprints or resources would you give a person that had that idea?
Yeah, well, see, right now is a great time to start something new because everything is like kind of up in the air, right? Like, you have businesses that unfortunately have been around for a long time, but they make a lot of business just because they can't sustain during this period where people can't meet, right, or interact in person. Just like retail is struggling a lot right now because people can't or aren't really physically going into stores and buying products. So there are a ton of resources like MailChimp, for one. They do a lot of really cool website things. They're offering free websites for, I think, up to 5 years. So like, you can go through MailChimp, create like an awesome website. It's good for 5 years and it's completely free at the moment, or at least at the moment that we recorded this video. So there are other resources out there too. Like, I saw Nikon was doing like free training classes for people that want to be photographers.
Oh,
like,
wow.
These aren't like, these aren't cheap classes. Like, these are professionals teaching you how to up your game and how to get better. There are plenty of companies that are putting things out there for people that want to start their own thing and that want to be successful in those spaces. So I guess the first thing I would tell people is, look to see what's free first. Because there's a lot of, look to see what's free first, right? Because you don't want to spend, especially now, like, let's say if you're someone that maybe got laid off or furloughed, you don't want to spend like a lot of money, right, to go into this thing. You more so want to spend time and energy. So I would say look for what's free first. Second, lay out a plan, right? Well, actually, let me take that back. Look for what's free first, and second, just start. Just start. By just start, I mean, like, don't say, okay, I have to have 100. If you're gonna sell shoes, I have to have 100 pairs of shoes, and I have to have 50 pairs of laces, and I have to have all these people in line. Like, no, just get started, because a lot of times, at least in my opinion, a lot of times people kind of hold themselves up because we might have that self-doubt, right? And I had it too. Like, but when I started my business, before I started it, I asked my close friends, like, do you think I can do this? Because there was a part of me that was like a little worried, like, I don't want to fail. I don't want to look bad. I embarrass myself. And they were like, no, man, like, you need to go for it. So I encourage people, like, just get going, just take a chance on yourself, because even if it doesn't work out, I mean, at least you'll never look back and say you didn't try. So look for what's free, just get started. And then third, I'd say build out a plan. So what I offer to people is a very simple document. It's called a project plan. And it lays out what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, who's going to help you get it done, and what it's going to cost, and at what time is it, essentially going to be done. And what that allows me to help people with, because it allows them to see, okay, I need to do these things by this date so that I can be successful. And so what I realize is that a lot of us, we have a lot of thoughts, right? We have a lot of things that we want to do, but we don't always put it in like a package that you can look at and see, you know what, okay, this is what I need to do and when to be successful. So I would say those are the three. Find the free stuff, just get going, and then like make a plan. Like, do your best to make a plan with some dates on it and some deadlines to hold yourself accountable.
Put deadlines, definitely. I think the biggest thing with people trying to start anything, like, they have that vision and they have those ideas and they have those dreams, but then it's actually executing it. So you may go to a friend or a coworker and say, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? Which I have my personal experience with that. I've done it when I wanted to start my nonprofit. I went to everybody at my job, and I was like, all the friends that I had, and I was like, make sure you join this group. I'm starting it. It's for diversity and dental hygiene, and we're going to be giving scholarships. And some people a lot of people looked at me like, for what? And then some people joined it and was a part of it. And we're 2 years in right now. But my point is, one girl actually told me, she's like, I don't do groups. They're drama. And, you know, I could have been like, oh, since she doesn't want to be a part of it, I'm not going to do it. But I was like, okay, well, that's fine. The next girl, why are you trying to raise money to give to people for scholarships? What are you getting out of it? And I'm like, I'm not worried about money right now. In the beginning, it's not about the money. So those are two people that were in my circle, in my job, and that's the only thing we knew was going to work and coming home. That's it. Before I had an organization, there was nothing outside of it. I didn't travel. I didn't take any continuing education. I didn't go outside. Like, I didn't have friends outside of my workplace. There wasn't no other dental friends in another state. It didn't happen. So now I have like over, 500 friends across the world that are in the dental community, just because I said I didn't let those two people determine what I was going to do. Because I could have been like, you know what, y'all are right. Like, that's kind of crazy, right? But I was like, nah, I'm going to do this. And just start. And I didn't know. And there wasn't a lot of people in there to begin with. But slowly but surely, it grew. And, I just looking back at it, I don't even know how we came from just me starting a group and having an idea to over 2,500 members to raising every year more than $20,000 per year. Just over an idea, when someone was like, why are you giving scholarships to people? Why are you spending your money to give scholarships? And I was like, because you have to start somewhere. It's not about the money. The money will come. And sure enough, people started recognizing what I was doing, companies, organizations, and they wanted to be a part of it and they wanted to help. So I just do not take no for an answer, because you're going to have people that don't see your vision. You're going to have people that are like, I don't think that's a good idea, or I can't see you doing that. It's not for them to see it. If you believe in yourself, it's up to you to make them believe in you, because they might not be all for it in the beginning, but then they'll start seeing the parts moving, and then they'll be like, okay, you got something going on here. Let me see what's going on. Or they might just be watching by the sideline. And sometimes that can get distracting, because, me working where I was working, and I've been there for a very long time, I didn't have that support that I thought I was going to get from my coworkers or from my family. I thought those were going to be my biggest cheerleaders, but those are not, because they know you and they're comfortable with you. So whatever you're doing, it's not, they're like, well, I can do it too. Whereas someone else looking in is like, wow, look what they're doing. So don't expect those people to be cheering for you. Like, they're going to buy tickets to the show. Let them have their tickets, but they bought tickets to the show. So just remember, they're watching regardless of whether they're clapping or rooting for you or not. Like, they're still there. So that should be like your motivation to keep going. Like, just start. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a lot. Put your products out there, right? Put your products out there. If you have a product, put it on a website. Get some stock images if you don't have product to take pictures of, and take orders. Once you get your order, then pay for whatever you're paying for your merchandise. Take pre-orders. You can say, hey, we're launching this new product. We're taking pre-orders right now for the entire month. Then see how many orders you get. If you get enough orders to buy your merchandise, buy your merchandise. If you don't get enough orders, then give people their money back. You're not losing anything. So you just have to start. And like, the websites are really, MailChimp's easy. I know Wix has a really, they put the templates out there for you. All you have to do is, I'm selling pottery. Instead of putting pottery on there, put some shirts on there. Like, the templates are so freaking easy, and I didn't realize how easy it was. But the biggest thing that you have to do is protect yourself, protect your brand. Like, if you're going to create a website, don't just get the free version. Go ahead and buy the domain. It's $10, I think, like $10 a year. So just buy the domain, just in case your website does take off, then you have a product that nobody else can take. So you have to protect that. If I didn't say I'm going to buy browngirlrdh.org, .com, .net. I didn't buy .net, but I'm just saying, by this point, if anybody has another Brown Girl RDH website, they know it's not the same. But someone can very well go and say, I'm going to buy browngirlrdh.net and act like this is browngirlrdh.org and start raising money. And how would you know if you don't know what the organization is about? So you just see Brown Girl RDH and you're like, okay. So protect yourself. What is it called? Like intellectual property. Definitely protect that from the beginning, because you might not believe in what the greatest of the great can be for you, but it might be out there, might be written in the stars for you. So you're not going to see it. I did not see what was going on with me. Like, I could have never imagined.
Right. And in a short amount of time, you've had a lot of success.
Right. So that's another thing. And, that support is going to go away. Like, you might have, I don't know why I was to get talking about this, but the support is going to go away. So you got comrades, constituents, and confidants, right? You probably heard of those, or someone's probably heard of them.
Explain it to me though.
Yeah, so you're you got comrades, constituents, and confidants. And your constituents, you're going to have a bunch of those, and they're going to be for what you're for, against what you're against. If you don't like the president, guess what? They're not going to like the president, but they're just somebody who is just there because it's convenient, right? Your constituents. Then your comrades are going to be those people who are down for whatever you're down for, but they don't necessarily have what you have at best interest, your heart at best interest. So as soon as somebody else comes along, they're going to be like, yo, I'm rocking with them because you are no longer benefiting me. So those are those people that want the free ride, and then you stop giving them a ride, and then they like, all right, well, this other guy's going to give me a ride, so I'm not talking to you. I'm not calling you. Those are when the calls stop coming in. Like, dang, I thought we were cool. Like, that was like my best friend. And we want our comrades to be our best friends. We want them to be our confidants. Our confidants, you're going to have one, maybe two in your life, but most likely one. Those are people that they are your everything. If you said, I had a hit and run, they're going to try to help you cover up the body. Like, those are your comrades. Those are your confidants. Those are people that without a shadow of a doubt, if you want to do something crazy, like, they're going to be with you. Like, I'm rocking with you. I don't agree with what you're doing, but I'm here. Your mom, your grandmother, like that cousin that they're going to get you out of jail if you go to jail. So those are your confidants, and we're not going to have a lot of those. We have a lot of comrades. We have a lot of people that we talk on the phone every single day to. We have a lot of people that, hey, how you doing? Or let's go out for drinks, or I bought you this Christmas gift. We think those are our confidants. Those are not, because the minute it's not convenient for them to be around, they're going to disappear. Oh, I'm going through life. Oh, I got married and kids, blah, blah, blah. So we fall short, and we get really, where we get confused is when we want those comrades, those friends, they're friends, right, to be our confidants. So our confidants would be our spouses. And sometimes they're not even your confidant. You can have a best friend that, is your confidant. Maybe your spouse doesn't necessarily support you or believe in what you're doing. So, we get those things confused, but just know the constituents are just for seasonal. Your comrades, you think they're going to be there a long time. They might be there for years. Like, I've known, my friend for 10 years, and they've always been here. One day they get married, and it's about family. I can't hang out anymore. And then you stop hearing from them. And then you're like, dang, that was supposed to be my homie. That was my confidant. That was not your confidant. You only have one or two in a lifetime. So we just have to be mindful of who is around us. And when you start climbing and you start succeeding, that's when things start to get really clear. And you're like, all right, I know I have to figure out who is in your life. Like, so.
That's the great thing about relationships too, right? Like, things change over time. Like, your interests may change. What you enjoyed doing in 2019 might not be what you enjoy doing in 2020. And some of your friends might like it, some might hate it. So I think that we all change over time, but ultimately it's like things are destined to grow and change, to me at least. I think that relationships are a part of that whole sphere, that whole circle of, sometimes you're around people for a while and maybe your interests align. And then next thing you know, you're not. And oftentimes, at least in my experience, it doesn't make like you a bad person or them a bad person or them fake or you fake or anything like that. But it's just like we may just be in different spaces in life.
Right.
So the things I have to do now are different than the things I have to do in the past.
Right. And you just have to understand who is who in your relationship. And once you master that, like nothing can bother you. And then you don't get caught up on, I've had those days where I'm like, dang, that person really didn't come through for me. Like, I was really counting on them. And then you get so caught up on that you can't focus on your goal or what you should be doing. Like, I should have been sending that email. I should have been placing those orders. Those are the things that you should have been doing, but you're so caught up mentally. This is draining, right? You had a long day. You're studying all day. You're not working. You're not doing anything, but you're tired. So being mentally drained is real, and it can happen with relationships and energies. So we just have to be careful of, who we let in our space and who we let get close to us, especially when you're trying to build something, because that can make or break you. If you want to start a company and somebody that's very supportive of you on everything else was like, we don't have the money to do that right now. Just hold off. Don't go to school right now. Let's pay these bills. Then that can make it or break your career in your future. So you just have to go with what's in your gut. And if you're determined, I'm going to do it. If I'm going to be that CEO, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it regardless. And a lot of people, they need to hear that, because if you don't hear it, you won't know. You're like, well, I guess I'm married and this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or my boyfriend don't want to move from Texas to New York, so I guess we're stuck here and my dreams are not going to come true. No, make that move. You got to take that leap, because if it's for you, it's gonna be there.
Yeah, and relationships and business can be really tough to manage when they enter. What is the word I'm looking for?
Intertwine.
There we go. I lost it. You saved me. Those can be really tough because, business is usually very calculated. Like, I'm going to buy this product for this reason at this price because I expect it to grow at 20% in this amount of time. Business can be very strategic, very calculated. You usually, or typically, people will tell you don't make emotional decisions in business. But oftentimes with our relationships, those are very emotional things, right?
And a lot of it is related.
Yeah, and a lot of it can connect. So it can be really tough. Some people are great at it. Some people can manage a business with their partner and with their close friends, and they make it work. And some of us can't. I think my style is more so the people that I do business with, I try to have really good relationships with. But not so much to the point where we're gonna hang out on the weekend or get drinks together or something of that nature. Try to still keep things at a place where we're not too interconnected in each other's lives. But that's just my style, right?
Right.
You may work totally different, and you could make millions of dollars and be super successful with the people around you being the closest people to you. So
yeah,
it depends on the person.
Yeah, it depends on the person for sure, but then you have to be careful because, again, some of those people that are supposed to be your A1, they switch up, like the movie Paid in Full. I've been watching that movie almost every other week. I watch that movie because I'm like, these are real lessons. I need to learn them. Who's coming for me? But, the people that are closest to you sometimes, and it's human nature, they want what's on your plate, even if they're eating with you. You put them at the table and you give them a plate. Now they want what you got. So you have to keep that in the back of your mind and not be, not immature, but not be naive about the fact that people will sabotage it. Jealousy is real, and it has nothing to do with you. It's everything to do with them. Maybe they're like, wow, that should be me. I really wanted to do this before. Because the people that are closest to you, they either going to work under you or they're going to be your equal. Nobody that's working with you is going to be your equal. They're always going to be striving to be better. And that's what you should want for someone that's on your team or, that's a part of your organization. But if you think you're here and here with somebody and they're your equal, unless they're your business partner, y'all splitting everything 50-50, you need to be looking okay, this prepare, anything is possible. You got to have those conversations and have your contracts and protect yourself. And don't give, what's the saying, job security, when you don't train the person 100% to do your job, some stuff that they don't know still is I know there's a term for that, but it's job security. Seriously, keep that job security. You're not going to know my ins and outs, tricks of the trade. You're not going to know every single relationship, every single business relationship, every single contract. I can't give you all that. Yeah, you got the email and the password and you can see what's going on, but you're not making those connections. I'm not giving you no cell phone numbers. So
first thing, right?
That's weird. That's weird. None of that has happened. But I'm just saying, you have to think like that. Okay, I have to protect my brand. I have to protect my legacy, because what is it for somebody to come and do the same thing that you're doing? They're not going to do it like you, because your idea is your idea. That's you. Yep. But it's nothing for someone to create another, brand of toilet paper. Okay, we got this version. It's going to be a lot of versions of a lot of things. So if someone wanted to decide and go and decide and create a website that was going to do the same exact thing that your website is doing, guess how many t-shirt companies are out there? So many, especially in Atlanta. I have a friend that wanted to do a t-shirt company, and I was like, oh, well, you better make sure you're different, because if it's cheaper, I'm going with the cheaper person. Even if you are my friend, I might buy one shirt from you, but I know who the connect is. So you just have to do something to make people come to you, like make yourself stand out.
And I think when you're doing well, it shows, right? Like I had a guy I went to college with. He started a consulting company, and this is me being transparent. He started a consulting business, and I looked at his website, and it had a lot of the same words as like my business in terms of what we do and how we do it. And even in some of like his social media posts were similar to mine. And so at first, I looked at it and said, like, you're stealing my stuff. You're trying to, make your thing like mine. And at first I got a little upset, right? I'm like, why are you going about it that way? And then when I really thought about it, it was kind of humbling, because it told me like, I must be doing something right if people are trying to, if anyone is even remotely interested in doing things the way that I do it, So I think that when you do something well, it's natural for other people to want to do that same thing. And I don't think it's something we should like get mad or upset about. But if anything, we should be inspired by it. Like, wow, I did this thing, and it made other people maybe want to.
Oh yes, absolutely. I see it all the time.
Actually, yeah. Like you could look at a business right now or a person right now and say, I want to be like them, or I want to strive to, exist more in that space. And you can take inspiration from that. So
it's inspiration. I said something similar. One of my mentors, they told me, don't watch what everybody else is doing. Put those blinders on like horses and races, right? They have blinders on. So keep that on. Don't look this way or that way, because that's going to change how you move. Or if you do, don't change what you're doing based on what they're doing, because everything you see is not the way it is. Social media, anybody can be anything on social media. I was planning a mission trip to Jamaica, and I was like, dang, I need to find a dentist. I need to find a doctor. And I'm searching doctors, and I'm reaching out to people that are doctors on social media. They're like, oh no, I'm not a doctor, I'm a student. I'm like, why are you saying you're a doctor? Like, why are you putting that title on it? It drove me crazy, because most doctors are not going to be on social media calling themselves doctor this, doctor that. But it's the people who aspire to be a doctor, who are in dental school, who are taking the classes to be a doctor, that are like, Dr. S and so-and-so. And I was just like so irritated, because everybody that I was following on social media and I thought was a doctor wasn't really a doctor, or I'm a student, or it. I mean, so you can be anybody you need to be on social media. So even when you see these websites and whatnot, everybody is just replicating what they see. Like, what's the cool thing to do on social media? Like, cool thing is to use filters. So everybody's going to be using a filter. And then somebody's going to look at you without a filter and be like, oh, wow, she doesn't look. Well, everybody has a filter on. Like, you really going to judge me because, I got this scar right here? I don't have a filter. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not the problem. They are. So people, in general, society is lost. You follow in the crowd is lost, and the one person that sticks out, everyone's looking like, ooh, wow, like, like, you're the alien. Be the alien, because then they'll come around and they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna do that. I see that so much with things that I do, just being an influencer, and then all of a sudden people are starting to do it. And you're right, you kind of take it back, like, you weren't doing it until I was doing it, but then it becomes flattering, like, wow, like, I had influence on that person to do this. Little old me, little old brown girl, like, not me. So it definitely is. So just take it as a compliment, a humbling experience. Like, people want to be like you. They want to do what you do, and don't go looking at other people's websites. And I mean, there's something that you can do as a baseline, but after you have your website established, focus on you. Don't go to the next nonprofit and say, let me look at their website and see what they got going on, because then you might change it and think.
It's tough. You have to be very careful about who you compare yourself to and who you pay attention to. Mm-hmm. Because if I compare my consulting business to like these huge consulting businesses like PwC and Deloitte, I would never feel like I was successful. Like, they have millions and maybe let's say billions of dollars. I would always feel like, wow, I would never get to that level, or I could potentially feel inferior. So that's something I try to absolutely avoid. Like, you have to be very selective about who you watch, because oftentimes what you watch has an influence on the way that you move, right? And
Oh yeah.
Like, I pay pretty close attention to my close friends, and I think that's because we have great relationships and we all kind of have similar aspirations. You know, we're saying, hey, I want to get to this place in a few years, and we kind of inspire each other. But outside of that, I do try to kind of have that like tunnel vision where I'm not looking around too much. And I also think, you know, when you compare yourself to other people, that can get tough, because you may not know that person's real life, right? Or what they're
Right.
actually, you know, what they sacrificed to be successful, or how hard it was for them to get to where they are.
Or if they're saying they're a CEO and they haven't even collected a check, like CEO of what?
Yeah, but no, some people just like want maybe to themselves to feel good about maybe who they are. I don't know exactly why, right? But kind of in the same way that you did. Like, I never wanted to call myself a CEO or anything like that, because I didn't want to like run around telling people I was a CEO of this consulting company and like the company hasn't made any money. You know, I thought that would be kind of weird.
Maybe people just think like that. Cause I was thinking, like, I see a whole lot of CEOs on my Facebook and I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
Look, to each his own. Like, you know what? To me, I'm like, hey, that's your life. That's how you choose to live it. Do whatever you want to do, but I'm gonna do this, and then, you know, make adjustments as I see.
It's intimidating though if you see your friends or some people that are like, you know, you consider your peers and they're like, I'm a CEO of my company. You're like, damn, everyone I graduated from high school is a CEO of their company. What am I doing? Do I need to be a CEO of my company? And then you start thinking like, oh, I need to start a company. In reality, like, you don't need to do anything but continue on your path, you know? Yep. So yeah, just be careful with that. So so with your consulting, like, what would you tell a health professional that is in the health profession and they've done the same thing for years? They don't have any retirement. There's no 401k. They have nothing in savings, and they're thinking about opening an online store.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess first, if they didn't have any retirement or savings, I'd probably tell them to hire an accountant or a financial advisor, right? Because you have serious money problems.
Mm-hmm.
But if they wanted to open an online store, I would 1,000% tell them, you need to go for it. You know, you need to go for it. You need to look for those free resources. You need to create a plan, but over anything, like we already talked about, like, just start, just go for it. Think about what you want to sell, how you're going to sell it, and invest in yourself. You know, one thing that I'm a firm believer in is that you can't go wrong believing in yourself and investing, you know, time, money, and energy into yourself. You know, we can go to college and get degrees and come out and get jobs. We can get our master's, bachelor's, PhDs, whatever it may be. But sometimes we'll get those degrees and, like, you know, your college debt may be so high that it may not equal out to, you know, the job that you got coming out of school. A lot of people deal with that. You know, a lot of millennials don't have a ton of, you know, 6-figure jobs, and we're just making all this money. Like, that's not realistic in this day and age.
But they have master's degrees and bachelor's degrees.
Yeah, and a lot of people do, and they're still in tough spots, and, you know, me included, with having like college debt. And sometimes you might look up and figure out, like, how am I going to pay this debt?
I'm never going to pay it.
Yeah, yeah. For some people, that is the truth. Like, they are not going to pay it.
Never.
Back, yeah, or the education system back for this debt. But I say all that to say, I think that when you invest in yourself, it's hard to go wrong. Because if you know that I'm going to work hard at this, I'm going to do my best to try to make this something that is fulfilling for me, and it is my dream, like, you can't really go wrong. Like, even if you fail, even if it doesn't work out, I mean, that's life, right? Like, we're going to fail at stuff. Most people have, you know, really successful companies have failed and tried it again and tried it again. Mm-hmm. It's just life, you know. So
how was your experience, like, working in HR for Amazon? Because that's one of those companies, like, Amazon is banging right now. Nobody's shopping in retail stores. Amazon, they shopping on Amazon. I know I bought some magnetic eyelashes.
Yeah, they sell everything,
I didn't
right?
need it, but I bought it. They're like, stop buying stuff from Amazon. They're not sending out anything unless it's essential. Well, they damn sure sent me the magnetic eyelashes, and I got them in 2 days. So I don't know what people are talking about, but Amazon is making money. So y'all lie to yourselves if y'all want to. I'm not trying to buy toilet paper or anything, but yeah. So how was that experience working?
I mean, I think it was a really great experience for me because before I started working for Amazon, I interned in DC. So I worked for a senator out in DC, and I thought like I wanted to go into politics, and
Oh
I got
wow.
yeah, that's what I thought, right? And I got out there, and I was interning, and my job was to like open letters and answer the phone, and that environment was really big on like paying your dues and things of that nature. And for some people, it's great, but when I experienced it, I said, I don't think I really want to do this. So I went home for a while, didn't have a job, was kind of struggling to figure it all out, like literally staying on my mom's couch, like really being a bum. And I eventually got that opportunity to work for Amazon. And it was a really great experience for me because it challenged me for one. I got to learn a lot. I got to step outside of my comfort zone. And I got to interact with some really smart people, like people I still have relationships with today. Like I have a coworker who previously worked in HR, and he also worked in consulting. And I have a great relationship with him. I don't work there anymore. But he's one of those people I look at and say like, wow, I'm thankful to have worked with really smart people. Because I think when you're around smart and successful people, at least for me, like it inspires me to do more and to work hard. So, I mean, it was a great experience for me, and I think it played a part in why I'm, where I am today. So.
Yeah, definitely those role models and the energy that you keep around you, that definitely 100% makes a huge difference. Me growing up, like I was one of 10 kids. My mom, she never worked. She just sold dope on the side. Like that was her side hustle. She was a hustler. And I never saw anybody in my family, grandparents, aunts, uncles, nobody went to school. So for me, my mom has 10 kids. I'm the oldest girl. Every time she pops out another kid, I'm taking care of that baby. Like I'm in 7th grade, pushing a baby stroller, making a bottle up for a newborn baby. And I'm like, I got to read this Harry Potter book in the morning in class. And, I'm taking care of a baby that's not mine, changing diapers and stuff. And I feel like, just being in that environment and seeing that, if someone wasn't determined, I was determined, like, I don't want to be like this. I want to be more. I want to be a doctor. I'm not going to have kids. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm taking care of all of my siblings. Like, I'm not going to have kids. And then you get out. Well, for me, I got through high school, and it was like, yes, I got through high school, not being pregnant, like not having a baby. I made it where everybody else was very poor city. And I got through high school, and then my first summer out of high school, I was working. I got a boyfriend that was in college. He was playing football. I thought it was grown. Bam, pregnant. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm like, okay, this is the summer, right? This is the summer where you get out of high school and you're planning to go to college in the fall. And I was like, got pregnant. And I'm like, I don't want to be pregnant in school. Like, I don't know, in my mind, I was like, I just don't want to be a statistic that way. I was big on like not being a product of my environment. So I'm going to have the baby. I'm going to work. I'm going to save money. And that's what I'm going to do. Did not go to school. I was working at Best Buy. Went from working at Best Buy to working at the Gap. I was like, when you're that young, you think like, oh, I get to wear Gap clothes. Like, it's all about clothes and shoes. You don't care about anything else. Like, you don't care about, now it's about the cell phones. Kids worry about the cell phones and their sneakers. But back then it was like, I want to wear name brand clothes and I want to wear shoes, nice shoes. And I was like, I'm going to have this baby and they're going to be baby gapped out, and just stupid things that you think about when you're 20. I was 19. I wasn't even 20. I was 19. No, I was 18 actually. I had my daughter 2 days after I turned 19. So I was 18. Think about an 18-year-old having a baby. Like, you want nice stuff for your kid. I don't even know why, but I hope people don't think like that today. But anyways, that's all I was thinking about. So I was like, well, after I have this baby, I'm going to go to school. and I'm going to continue. And then the reality kicked in. Wow, I have a baby. Wow, it's expensive. Wow, I really can't afford a lot. Oh, I don't have a car. Like, I have to pay for daycare. You know, then it was like, I cannot go to school and become a dentist. I cannot be a doctor. I have to figure out what else I'm going to do. So then I started looking like, okay, what can I do? So then it was, well, I'll take some online classes. So I called the school and I was like, you know, I really want to get into the dental field. I see you guys have a program that's 2 years and it's for dental hygienists and they make $60,000 a year. I want to sign up. I have a baby and, you know, what do I have to do? And they legit told me, you have a baby. This program is competitive. Why don't you try an online assisting program? Like you shouldn't do this program. It's very competitive. So I was like, okay, online assisting, I'll do it. Did the program. It's a certificate. It's not even a degree. So I was going for a degree, an associate's degree. That's what I wanted to do. And they told me, do the certificate program. Just imagine somebody who's just lost and they're like, okay, certificate, what does that mean? Certificate means you might as well not even get on the job training because you're not going to get paid because you have no degree under your belt, right?
Yes.
So I did the certificate program and I was working and I was making $12 an hour. So I went from 9 at the Gap to 12. Well, that was good for me. I was like, $12, woo, I'm making money. No, not really. So what I thought was making money until I started working with I was working in a dental office. So I did dental assisting online. It was an assisting program. And I was working in a dental office and I started talking to the hygienist. I was like, I really want to do what you guys are doing. And you know, that's what I wanted to do. But they told me I had a baby and it was competitive. So to do assisting. And then they were like, girl, we make, you know, $70 an hour. And they were like, one girl was driving a Hummer and I was driving, what was I driving? A Chevy Impala. That's what I was driving. And this girl had a Hummer. I'm like, you're a hygienist and you have a Hummer, and like they were working by themselves and the dentist treated them good. And I'm like, I'm definitely going for hygiene. So I'm like, I'm gonna apply anyway. So I applied and I got in this program that they said was super competitive, right? So I'm like, I got in. Like, I don't understand how I got in, and they were saying it's like impossible. First try. So 2 years through the program, I didn't have the support financially to get through it. So I was always, you know, trying to figure out when I was going to get my Pell Grant, when I was going to get my tax return. Let's save that tax return money. I maxed out credit cards and did not pay them. I know all about bill collectors calling. We became friends because I was not paying none of them bills at all. I was like, nope, ain't got it. You ain't going to get it. How y'all doing today? Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Like, what's up? So it's just like, you know, I was for 2 years, like that was my life. The only thing I did was go to school. I tried to manage out my money. I worked at Home Depot on the weekends and my weekend checks went to whatever, you know, can help my boyfriend at that time pay for the rent or whatever. And, you know, that was my life for 2 years. And after that 2 years, my first job, I was so excited. I was making $37 an hour. I was like, oh my goodness. So you go from making 12 to 37. Now that's a whole come up. So now you're like, yes, I can get this car. I can move into a nice neighborhood. My kid can go to a better school. Then you start thinking I can buy a house, and it only goes up from there. So not having family support, like none of my family knew that I graduated and I had a degree and that I was a dental hygienist and that I was making this money. They didn't know that, but nobody had done it, so it wasn't important to them. It's like you're just going to school, but your family's like, okay, and because they don't understand how important it is. But it took me from being teen mom, living in a poor community, not seeing anybody with any motives, ambitions, anything, being in that space to getting out of that space, going to school with people who are working towards something, instructors who are teaching you who have things, you know. The biggest thing is like we think about cars, like, oh, you got a car. It wasn't about the car. It's about your future. It's about having money in the bank, not having to worry about, did I get paid? I don't worry about if I got paid because I know I have money in there. Like, you know, making sure things are automatic, not like, oh, I got to rob Peter to pay Paul and pay this bill and borrow this and that. Like, that's how we grew up. You know, so it's just like now, you know, you see the difference in your environment. So now I'm hanging around other people that have homes because, hey, my neighbor's kids play with my kids, or they go to the same school. Like now we're around professionals, and then you start to see things different. You start to move different. But in reality, I drive 2 hours from here and go hang out with my family, and it's like they're so far behind. It's sad, and you're like, this is what happens when you stay stuck, when you don't even just think that you can achieve more than you can, because it was just a thought. I don't want to be a product of my environment. I should be, right? But I'm not. And it goes to show you that my mom had 10 kids, 10. And 3 of us graduated high school, and 1 of us went to college. And my brother was in college. It was the second one that was in college. He was going to school 2 hours from here, and he was killed coming from college. Someone shot him. It was gang related. So out of 10 kids, you had 2 make it to college and 1 finish, and the only one that finished was me. And when I tell you, like, I'm the one that everybody calls when something happens, or, you know, just anything, like, I try not to put myself in that situation, because it can become like abusive, to where people are like, take, because you're going to give it, and they think that you have it, because that's that mentality. But, you know, I'm the one that if something goes down, like, you know, my brother's funeral, you know, they knew they can call me and it was going to be covered, right? But those are the little things that it's just me. But for my kids, it's going to be a whole different generation. Like, our parents were working for people. Well, mine wasn't. She was, you know, she was working for herself. But, you know, our parents were the ones that were working for people. Like, we are the ones that are trying to work for ourselves. Like, we don't want a boss. We want to create something that our kids can say, like, oh, my dad was this, and my mom was that, and they have something to look forward to, other than working for someone or struggling. So I think a lot of what I do and what I see is because I've seen both sides of the fence. Like, you know, I know all about the drug dealing side and what not to say and how to be street smart and all of this stuff, and I can go back there real quick. But on the other hand, like, I know how to be professional. I know how, you know, to approach people in certain things, and how to break down relationships and not take everything so personal, because I was that angry Black girl that was like, everything was an attack. But really, it's not. People are trying to help you, and they're giving you constructive criticism. But coming from maybe an abusive background, you don't understand that. You can't even tell the difference. You're just in attack mode. You're in defensive mode all the time. So just changing your environment changes everything. Like, how you think, you know, the trajectory of where you're going, the relationships, that the energies that you allow in your life, you know, the things that you tolerate, what you stand for, just as a person, you know. So anyways, I got off, but what were we what were we talking about? I was going on and on and on.
I'm not sure.
I think we were talking about just taking yourself out of that mental space and having people that support you. And it doesn't matter right now if you're in a space where you're not being supported. Just know what your end goal is. Know what it is. Focus on that, and you can make it. Anybody can make it. You know.
Yeah, and I think some people say, focus on your why. Like, why are you doing this? Mm-hmm. Like, if you were in school and you're thinking about studying to get your master's, and your classes are really tough, or these exams are tough, like, you probably think about, like, what is the whole reason? Like, what is my motivation, right? Like, why am I doing this? Like, why are we going to work every day? There's a reason. You know, you have bills, you have responsibilities, and I think when you're starting something new, and maybe if you're already comfortable or you already have a job, your why is different. It might not be about the money per se, because I think for me, I didn't start my business because I was like, I just want to make all this money and live this lavish lifestyle. I was more so telling myself, like, I just want to have some new challenges. You know, I want to learn more. I want to do more with my time, and I want to see what it feels like to be an entrepreneur, and to challenge myself in that space. And I want to use my talent to help people and see if I can genuinely, like, impact people's lives with the work that I do, see if somebody else can get something out of it. So I think for me, the why is important. And now, in, you know, this day and age, I think that when people start businesses, their why is going to be big, right? Especially if they're not working, they might say, okay, now I have to start this thing and see if it can work out for me. Because now I have the perfect opportunity. I have the time on my hands.
Right. They start to kind of panic and be like, okay, I don't want to be in this situation again. A lot of people, it's, you know, fight or flight. What do I have to do not to be in this situation again? Even if it was in the back of their mind that, you know, I always wanted to start this company. Now it's like, for sure, like, this is why I should have done it. Like, I told your ass. But anyway, so we're definitely, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for sharing. This is definitely a great conversation. I know the viewers are going to love it. If people want to reach out to you if they have questions. Where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, no problem. Thank you for having me. They can reach me via email. Email will probably work. I can be reached at Tyler, Tyler, at consultwithhendon.com. That's consultwithhendon.com. I can be reached on Facebook and on Instagram at Hendon Consulting. All one word on Instagram, Hendon Consulting, on Facebook as well. So I encourage people, please feel free to reach out to me. I offer free resources for anyone that's just looking to get going or may need some advice. I take phone calls with people and just, see if I can help them out. For people that are more established, I usually sit down and say, okay, let's make a plan to kind of get into all that. But I'm more than willing to help anybody in any way that I can. So thank you for having me.
So yeah, so just reach out. He's offering a free service if anyone has questions. He's open to helping you guys. I'm definitely going to put this in the description box below. Follow him on Instagram, Facebook, Black Twitter, whatever you need to do. And just support. And we're all here. We're all here for everyone. So thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Peace.